Hey, Trail people, you're listening to the Trail Network podcast hosted by Rachel Drake, Leah Yingling, Hillary Yang, and myself, Katie Asmuth. We're here to celebrate the community connections and untold stories within trail running. And today it's back to Leah and myself, Katie, to debrief where we just were this past weekend, Javelina 100. Wow, what a weekend.
My God, what a weekend, Katie. I was definitely out there playing quite a different role than you were. But man, it was awesome to have a front seat to all the action that went down.
Oh my gosh.
From 100-mile performances to the 100K performances. Your awesome day out there.
It was
Yeah,
crazy.
how you feeling?
So much. And I got to meet Monty. That was maybe my highlight.
You got to meet Monty. Oh, he loved meeting you.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. Okay, where should we start? I feel like we should first dive into race commentary because you're behind the scenes of the day. I mean, the 100-miler is like the debut distance. That's the golden ticket race. That's why we're there is because of the 100-miler. So the 100K, I would love to chat about the race. It was super fun. I finally got a big win and that felt really good. But we have to talk about this 100-miler. Like, holy God, historic day with the J historic day out there. It was incredible. So let's talk about your experience behind the scenes.
Yeah, I had the privilege of being on the live stream from about noon till 7:30 that night, which was 13 and a half hours. I probably actually got off the live stream right before 13 and a half hours because I had to feed Monty and I couldn't call Tara's finish, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, did you see me in the comments, Leah? I was like, you have to stay on for Tara. I didn't know you were on for that long because obviously I'm not listening to the live stream while I'm racing, so I didn't realize.
But, man,
wow, your breasts are like engorged. You're like, Katie, shut up. Sorry.
I'm like looking around. I was like, God. I need to get out of here. No, it was so awesome. It was my first foray back into the commentary scene after having Monty. So part of me was like, do I still know what's going on? But the second I sat down, I still knew what was going on, which was awesome to see and feel and just get all the awesome vibes from the community out there. But man, it was a historic day. I think what comes to mind for me was just Tara Dower. Unstoppable, versatile, strong, resilient, incredible. And I'm so curious, like, to pull the covers off of, like, what goes on behind the scenes there for Tara. I'm just thrilled for her. I'm also just so curious about how she gets it done.
How she did that. So, yes, we have a special guest who is going to join us on this podcast. At the end, we will finish with the great Addie Bracy, who also received a golden ticket. And Addie mentioned something about Tara. She said, I was scared. Like, she went so deep. And actually, I think this was offline. I don't think this was recorded. But she was like, it was crazy to see her in drug testing. She just goes so deep in the well. And she said, I don't know if I want to go there. Like, it's scary, you know? And, you know, I think about Tara and the effort she just put in the long trail. And then I think about what she did at Mammoth 200 and pulled out of Mammoth 200 because she cared so deeply about getting this ticket and wanted to perform. And then interviewing her the day before the race, and she was cool as a cucumber as usual. And she's like, yeah, I mostly just relaxed and rested since Mammoth because I had already done the long trail and that took a lot out of me, and just rested and did speed work. And somehow she was able to throw down a historic course record by over 30 minutes. I mean, just absolutely incredible. And I think a lot of credit does have to go, some credit has to go to Megan Roach, friend of the pod, who coaches Tara. Yeah. The fact that she's been able to coach her to that performance is pretty spectacular. And then also that Tara's mindset going in was, I mean, what she said, at least on the pre-race interview, she said, I just want to put down an effort that makes me proud. And that was what she was focusing on. We all know that she wanted that ticket really bad, but also she wasn't thinking about the ticket, or maybe she really was, but she was really wanting to just put in a huge effort. And I know that she talked about the long trail, just wanting to run fast. Like, I just miss running. And it's such a technical trail. And she's like, I just want to go fast. So she was able to do that. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, I'm just so curious about so many things. You bring up Megan Roach, and a thought that crossed my mind during commentary was how over the years, Tara's had this oddly complementary series of coaches in the sport. So when Tara first came to the sport, she was coached by speed goat Carl Meltzer. And he was old school coach, old school principles, lots of volume. And that's how Tara first entered the sport. She was doing a lot of 100-milers on the East Coast, having great success at those, slugging out volume all the time, but likely not fine tuning her speed and her skill set in quite the way that the Roaches do. Then years later, she added Megan Roach, left Carl's coaching and took on Megan Roach as her coach, and then has really been fine tuning, I think, the craft of competing, of speed, and then layer on top of that her nutrition coach, her mindset coach. And she's just been able to put it all together. And I've participated in several pre-race previews over the years now. And I mean, I really, not that I ever counted Tara out for a moment here, but like I keep being surprised by Tara, and I really should not be.
Right.
She's got this historic
we're done
resume
being
now.
She's
That
now the
is
one to beat. Yeah.
totally. And I think something that comes to mind and something that I've taken away from her performances is Tara has a confidence about her when she lines up of what she knows she's capable of doing, and she's not afraid of it. Whereas I think often in races, like I'm quite afraid to fail. I'm quite afraid to blow up, to have a race go completely awry and to kind of crawl my way back from it or DNF maybe. And Tara just has this confidence of, okay, yes, I'm going for a golden ticket here, but let's see how much I can take that time down by. Let's see how much I can get that course record by. And like she could have been safe here and she wasn't. She did not play it safe. And look at the result. I think there's so much to be inspired by there.
Yeah. I think she suffers intentionally going into the race, going like hell, like excited to suffer, like let's go, like she's towing the line, wanting that experience, whereas many people toe the line trying to avoid suffering. Of course we're all going to suffer at some point, but you don't want to be on your deathbed. You don't want to have rhabdo in the hospital. You're thinking about, like David Roche has talked about this, for instance, his mindset, going missing his kids, and like there's so much that can go on mentally. And I think between the ears, Tara is so unbeatable. Like you cannot touch that. And it is scary. But I mean, I talked to Chris Myers, who paced her fifth lap after the race, and he was saying that she didn't know that she was under course record pace. And once he told her that, she was like, oh, let's go. Like even more excited to push, because when you think about when you're suffering that hard and you're that far ahead, then you could kind of cruise it in. She could have cruised it in. She could have set a 10-minute course record. She could have, but instead she was like, gas to the pedal. Like you are all going all out as hard as you possibly can for every second to be able to bring that course record down even like as much as she could. And I don't know. I'm just in awe. I'm just in awe of that performance. Yeah.
It was amazing. And I mean, there was many historical performances over the weekend. Tara ended up beating second place Beth McKenzie by an hour or so. And Beth in her own right is absolutely incredible. She's 45 years old, mom of two, CEO of a company, and just boasted one of the fastest times in Javelina history, running under 15 hours as well. We talked to Addie Bracy today on the podcast. This is her second time getting a golden ticket over the span of 6 years. She's been in the sport forever. And to have a performance like after years and years of trying to get back to Western States, really cool to see. So it's not just Tara, but Tara really pulled the women along to incredibly fast times. And we saw huge improvements in the women's field. Two women that come to mind are Anna Loudon and Lauren Puritz. Despite running 30 minutes to 1 hour PRs, their placements were slightly worse than years prior, but they're improving in their own right. So, I mean, I know we say this on every podcast, Katie, but gosh, the sport is getting faster. And you experienced it out there this weekend too.
I did.
Anything to share
Well,
from
and I
your
will
time in the
say
course?
the sport is getting faster, but we did have some carnage out there. We had carnage. I'm trying to think just right off the top of my head. Devnienko, DNF, Carla Molinaro, our 50K world champion. I mean, on the roads, DNF'd. We had Kareth Arnold DNF'd. I mean, we had people that we thought were going to be front runners and could have taken it home, didn't finish the race and have the day they wanted. And I think it does show that when you go out hard, you take risks, and that's part of the sport now, is that you're going to take the risk to be up front and push yourself as hard as possible and not think about that fifth loop when you're on the first. Like, you're going to go for it and be in the present, go as hard as you can in that moment. And sometimes it blows up, and sometimes we have to just be like, well, that's okay. I think there's going to be more of this where people are, I think people say things like with Devin, like, oh, she's hit or miss. I think there's going to be more and more of people that are hit or miss because of that. I mean, it's kind of back to Tara's in her Mammoth 200. I mean, she DNF'd, right? Because she's like, this wasn't the day I'm having. I'm already in the pain cave. I'm already throwing up at mile 80. And what I really want to be doing is racing at Western States. So it's like, people have different priorities. People have different motivations. People have different, strategies out there and the risks they're willing to take. And two people that you mentioned that consistently have consistent days is Lauren Puretz and Nana Loudon. And I am just so impressed with them that they continue to show up and continue to throw down. And both have had incredible seasons, especially Lauren coming off a first place or a first American UTMB and 8th place at UTMB just 6 weeks prior. I mean, just incredible performances. And I'm in awe. It was so fun. I'm all here for it. I loved it. I wish I could have been behind the scenes. I mean, the only bummer that I was racing is that I had no idea what was going on. I mean, when I'd get to headquarters, I would say like, "What's going on in the race?" But
of course you did.
Yeah, it was really funny. Like, what, where's what? Like, that's what I really wanted to know. Yeah,
it's so fun to be a fan of the sport.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Every minute of Saturday was just absolutely awesome. And Katie, you had so many fans out there too. Like, the live chat was blowing up for you because you were battling it out for the overall win of the 100K. Can you talk about that?
I had no idea. I wish I knew. And a part of it is because, so Javelina, for those that don't know, is a 100-miler and a 100K that you can either do 5 loops for the 100-miler or 3 loops for the 100K. And there are hundreds, there are over 1,000 people. I think there's there was 1,500 plus runners out there from all distances. And so when you think of that, aid stations can't keep track. Nobody knows what's going on. I'm coming through like, where am I? Nobody knows, right? The 100K, nobody's paying attention to the 100K for sure. Everybody's focused on the 100-miler because that was the golden ticket race, of course. And so for me, I really had no idea all day. I did know at headquarters, and I can go through my race, but it was a far, far from perfect day. But when I got to headquarters after loop 2, I found out that second place female, Corinne Shelvo, who's a good friend of mine, was 5 minutes behind me. And I was like, okay, I really got to throw it down this third loop. But that's all I was thinking about. I had no idea where I was in the overall standings. And I was just kept thinking Corinne was going to catch me. So it was really kind of a shock and almost a little bittersweet, to be honest. I was like, God, I definitely, somewhere in that race, I had 3 minutes for sure. But I was 3 minutes behind the top male and could have won it overall, which would have been really sweet victory. But I was super stoked to pull off a win. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into it, but it was a good day. Really fun way to end the season. So really stoked on it.
So cool, Katie. And I think, you've had races this summer that you've had a lot of learning experiences from. And this one, like, you came out with the win, which you were really happy to do. But you still felt like there's parts of your race that were slightly imperfect. So can you talk a little bit about like celebrating a race on paper that like is great, but also has areas where you're still like, dang it, I have room for improvement?
Yeah, it's so hard, Leah. It's hard how much you want to share publicly, to be honest, because, well, to that point, it's like you've got sponsors, you have, nutrition sponsors, right? And you don't want to reflect poorly on them because it has nothing to do with that, right? And I think publicly it is like how much I should be grateful and stoked on the win. And I think it's really unusual that you come out of an ultra or really any race, probably in any sport, where as a professional athlete, you're like, everything went perfectly. Like that really doesn't ever happen. Maybe with Tara this year. But for me, it felt like the first loop, I was shocked. I went out I thought there was going to be a pack of us ladies. There was like a really, really strong women's contingent. And I just started running out of the, start shoot. I was like, where's everybody? Like nobody came with me. Alexi Papa's Olympian. She's not with me. Like, where are people? Like I was just surprised. Kennedy is, she's raced. She's won at Mammoth Trail Fest and she was her first time stepping up to the 100K distance, but I know she's super quick. And I was like, where is she? And she's done some work with the trail team and stuff. And I'm like, wait, I'm looking around. Okay, I'm just going to run my race. So that first loop, I was really surprised to be out in front and just ran how I felt good. It was cooler, it was the first loop. So I strategically went out harder that first loop because I was like, I'm fresh, it's cooler, I'm going to use it. And then went into my second, I fueled really well that first loop and just felt great. I was like, wow, I'm having a great day. Where is everybody? And then my second loop totally did not go according to plan. I threw up twice, had major diarrhea, like it's just not fun. And I was like, hold it together. And I did not spiral like I did at Leadville, where I was like I didn't spiral at Leadville per se, but I was just trying to manage the symptoms. Like what is it, salt? Like what, like trying to come down to the bottom of it. Like what's the source of the GI distress? And instead of going there, I just sort of accepted it and was like, okay, I threw up, like keep running. And that was definitely learned at Leadville, where I was like, don't try and solve anything, just keep on going. And I will say after that, though, I was really trying. It was definitely a struggle bus for the second loop for sure. And the third loop, even once I got to Jackass, I was like, all right, like I can cruise down to headquarters because it's like, it's uphill to head to Jackass Junction. And then it's downhill, to the finish. And so it's sort of like, 10 miles up, 10 miles down, sort of to simplify it. And once I got to the third loop, 10 miles up, and I could just cruise the downhill and I was able to open up my legs. And I was like, okay, I think I have it, but I still wasn't sure. And I kept looking behind me going, where's Corinne? Where is she? But yeah, I definitely held it together. And to be completely honest, I was running mostly on ice water. And so far from perfect and maybe wasn't my best self. Like at aid stations, I was like kind of just I was really hot. I like was just trying to continue to move forward. I was smiling. I think I was nice, but I was definitely not like my normal self in aid stations where I'm like, woohoo, like, thank you everyone. You're all amazing. Like I was more like, I need these filled up. Like, where's the ice bucket? More like that. So
they're like, who is this Katie? I've never met her before.
I know. Well, actually, one of our listeners said to me, she's like, wow, you're much more peppy on the podcast. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like barely getting by right now. I'm like 30 plus miles Katie, in on water. So
such an impressive race for barely getting by on those last couple loops. But I know you've got some big goals this spring, and it was probably nice to get an effort like that on the legs and feeling strong most of the time, despite running on fumes for
and I think that's a good point. I think for me, it's confidence, right? Like I'm like, all right, I've got fitness, I've got talent. It felt really good to finally be back to myself and to be like, all right, like, okay, it was not ideal. If I fueled it, I could have done way better. It was a way better day than any other day I've had this year. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it and stay positive. I'm working on some things, and as I know more, I'll share with the pod, but I'm working on some things, just what's going on with my GI. So I think there's actually, like, I'm going to get a colonoscopy. I'm going to do some breath tests and for
all the things.
Like I've got, there's other stuff going on with my bod that I need to figure out in order to be my best self. So it's not just race nutrition and performance. It's really all the time. So
holistic. Yeah.
So Anyway.
Before we intro Addie to the pod, what were some of the most fun or interesting or new trends you saw out there this weekend? I know we often get questions from our listeners about like how we target nutrition or aid station transitions, crew, etc. Anything that stuck out to you about like how the sport is progressing in some ways?
I feel like that's a leading question. I feel like you have something you want to say.
I feel like the aid station transitions were like so fast from like the moving aid station. Like every top runner you saw, they had their crew running next to them, dousing them with water, being super fast. So whenever they did their aid station transition, like it was almost like non-existent. It was they're in and out, and I'm afraid that that's what we're gonna start seeing in the future here for these races where you can crew for an extended period of time.
Yeah, well, and I do think that specifically at that race, you can set up your crew in order to strategically, like your tent is actually really important, the location of your tent, because you can see your runner coming in and then you can run back to the tent, prepare for what they tell you they need, and then run to them on the, because the chute is like, it's like a half mile, right? Maybe a little
Yeah.
less. So you can kind of see them multiple times. They can continue to douse you and, be with you running with the pack. So I think it is interesting if you know the race course and those aid station transitions, you need to be able to prepare for quick transitions, knowing exactly where your crew is at aid stations going forward and making sure that like, yeah, they're just running with you. Like there's no sitting. Nobody's changing
Mhm.
shoes. It's definitely changed in that way. I do think at aid stations out on the course, it's so chaotic. And I knew that from being media at Javelina last year. It's very chaotic. From a, there's there are hundreds of runners coming in at once. And so, yeah, there's a little bit more of self-sustainability where you have to take care of yourself. In a way, I mean, there were some aid stations that there were less people and I got tons of help. But also you need to go into an aid station knowing exactly what you want and being very like
Mm.
poignant and like direct with your words. Like, this is what I need now. You don't go in and like peruse the aid station, none of that. So
Snappy.
thank you to all the aid station volunteers out there. And just generally in sport, the sport would not survive without our incredible volunteers. So it's really what makes the sport go round. But I mean, I think we do have to touch on Will. I mean, another course record, Will Murray, who is just this silent killer who has
Yeah.
no real social media or is not real like active in our community in the sense that he's kind of new to the scene, sort of, but he's been doing this a while, but we just haven't seen him on the global stage. And, to put down a second place performance at Black Canyon and to not be able to perform at States because of a cardiac and ankle issue. And then to be able to throw down the most incredible, beautiful race on the men's sides in history. It took down the course record by, it was, another 35 minutes. So or 33 minutes, I think. I think it was like around the
Yeah.
same. They took down that course
It was, yeah,
record.
Tara was 32 and Will was 33
Isn't
minutes,
that
which is
amazing?
those
Yeah.
those were good times to begin with, and to knock that much time off was crazy for Will to, like, lead as confidently as he did the whole time. Again, another person that, like, in the future, I will have full confidence in and, like, just not count out. Just like Tara,
Yeah.
like, silent killer, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I am just so in awe. It was such a fun weekend. Lee, it was so great to see you. Generally a
So great seeing
party.
you.
If you are new to trail running and you want to dabble in the ultra running world or come out and crew or volunteer, it's a really, really, really fun experience. Bring a costume and lots of hydration because it gets toasty out there. But it is a really, really fun time. So put it in the calendar. It's actually on Halloween next year, which is
That's
really
awesome.
cool. Yeah. Shout out to Mountain Outpost who covered the live stream and Air Viper Racing, obviously, for putting it on. It was really, really fun day and fun weekend. So, well, I first need to ask before we jump into Addie, is there any company specifically you use this weekend? Maybe
Yeah.
Osprey? Did you? I mean, obviously, I saw a lot of Osprey packs out there.
Totally. Well, something I noticed too, I want to talk about one of the trends was just the pack swaps this weekend. A lot of the top runners like Will were doing these quick pack swaps and transitions. And Osprey Packs, which is one of our sponsors of the pod, have been with us from the very start. They'll be coming out with their pro line next year of their Duro and Dyna packs, which I'm super excited to bring to the public. The whole team has been working behind the scenes on really perfecting it and making it a sleek and simple solution for ultra racing, for performance. And currently the pro line is non-existent, and this will come to market next year. So until then, highly recommend one of their packs. We were sporting an Osprey Poco soft shell pack for half our weekend out there, and Monty fits very, very nicely in it these days. So highly recommend their Poco for hiking and their soft shell Poco if you've got a little guy, like roughly 13 pounds, to
Well, and the
bop around.
Osprey Dyna is amazing. I love that pack. I mean, when I was running for Osprey, personally, not for the pod, of course, they represent us on the pod, but personally I was running for Osprey, and it was so fun to have a pack that would never break. Like zippers never break. Like it was so durable and so comfortable and so dependable. And I don't know, I love that pack. But yeah, shout out to Osprey. Thanks for sponsoring the pod. All right, Leah, without further ado, let's welcome Javelina third place finisher and golden ticket recipient, Addie Bracy. Welcome, Addie Bracy, to the Trail Network podcast. I am so happy to have you. I have a little intro, and you can say, wow, that's a lot of things, because that's what I did. Addie Bracy is a professional trail runner for Nike ACG, coach for Boundless Coaching, director at SageStone Adventure Lodge, which I'm really excited to dive into, co-founder of OutRun, an organization supporting LGBTQ plus individuals with running, author of Mental Training for Ultra Running. It's a lot of things, Addie. And most recently won a golden ticket at Javelina 100 last weekend. Addie Bracy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, how are you feeling?
Not bad, actually. I was just joking with one of my friends. My body recovery from the race has been okay, but I feel like I'm getting sick. And I'm like, well, yeah, there was like 2,000 people sharing sponge baths. I'm sure we're all getting sick. So all things considered, not too bad.
That reminds me, at one of the aid stations, I dunked my flask into one of the, but I was so desperate and I was so thirsty, and there were too many people around, and aid station workers were already helped other people. And I was like, I don't care, just need water. Later. And later I was like, oh,
yeah, that's kind of nasty, Katie.
Really gross. Add it to very gross things I can do. Okay. But I want you to start, Addie. You've been in the sport for a really long time, and many of our listeners are new. And I would love for you to give us a bit of a background, how you got into running and then really into trail running, because I know it started with road running.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. I did just kind of like the normal trajectory, like ran in high school, walked on to the team at University of North Carolina, and ended up doing pretty well there, like towards the end of college. And so kept running after college, and over the next 5 or 6 years, made the Olympic trials in the 10,000 meters on the track, and a couple times in the marathon. And around 2016, so at that time, I guess I was like, I just turned 30. I hadn't like really gotten faster in a couple years, and the training was just I was kind of ready to move on. And I didn't know much about trail running. So I basically retired from running totally. And my good friend, Matt Daniels, was like, just because it's 2 weeks after my last track race, you should come do the mountain running championships. And I was like, I don't really know what that is, but okay. And so we went and like ran the course the day before, and I was like, this is insane. Like what? But it ended up going really well, and I won. And since then kind of eventually moved up to ultras. And in my first year in hundreds, like did pretty well. I ran Western States a few times. But the last couple of years have been like really rough. And I was even chatting with you after the race, like some of them were related to injuries and like health stuff, but a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it just like didn't make sense. It just like wasn't coming together on race day, and it hasn't for probably 3 years or more. So yeah, I've been a little quiet because I haven't been performing as well, but have kept at it, and it's I really needed this weekend. So it felt like I paid my dues, and it felt really nice to finally have one come together.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack there. I want to start back when you talked about Matt Daniels. I listened to an interview. This was a while ago now, but Matt did an interview and he was talking about how and there were several of you, like I want to say, who else was on that initial team or the people that went out, you guys went out together to the East Coast to try and get this throw down on the mountain circuit when you were all road runners. Who else was there?
Hayden Hawks had just kind of gotten into trails too. Andy Wacker was with us, but he maybe was a little more, had already dabbled more than we had. But yeah, we all stayed together and we all were like, I don't know, we're going to give this a go. And then, yeah, we all made the world team.
God, if only there was a camera crew, that could be like, these people are going to take over trail. And it's going to be really fun. Okay, so you went from there and you're like, all right, I'm just going to continue with this. So clearly you were successful. And you said that was a 50K distance?
No, that was like a classic short distance. I think it was a 10 or 12K up down, maybe just up that year actually, which is why I was like, we were at Loon Mountain. I don't know if you've been out there. So that last climb is like 40% grade. And I was like, what is this? This is the most pain I've ever been in my life.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're on this crazy trail, you win, and you have now a national champion record, for yourself. And you're going into trail going, wow, I'm the national champion. I might be good at this. And then you had a lot of success. Like you mentioned, you ran Western States in 2019. You were a part of the world's team in 2022, Chiang Mai, Thailand. You've done lots of things. You've won Run Rabbit. You've got podiumed at Leadville. You've raced at UTMB, at CCC. You've done a lot of amazing things in your career. And I want to sort of dig into what you mentioned the last 3 years. You just haven't been able to put one together. And I'm curious how you went into this year going, that's going to change. I'm putting Javelina on the calendar and I'm going for a ticket, because you've done that before. You've run Black Canyon multiple times and hadn't quite gotten it, or canyons, right? So I'm just curious if what happened, what changed in your training, your confidence, what different this year than previous years?
I mean, I think a lot of it, I think it's a couple variables. One is I think, and I know some people even mentioned that noticing this during the race, but I have not been good at taking care of myself in the past and have like maybe been urgent and running other people's race rather than my own. And so, a lot of things that kept me from putting it together I was in Western States in 2021, probably the fittest I've ever been. I was in third place for a long time, but I got heat illness because I did not stop. I think I actually remember you running by me and made some comment, like that you were impressed with how much I wasn't cooling off or something. And I was like, oh shoot, should I be stopping? Because you were just like killing it with your heat cooling strategies, and I was doing nothing.
I think I was probably like, oh my God, that's Addie Bracy, and I should be doing what she's doing.
No, do not. Because I already knew something was off at that point. And so, that happened. And then Black Canyon one year, I got rhabdo because I wasn't eating and it was hot and I wasn't cooling. And so, a lot of it was factors like that. And then, I think in reality, I love mountain races, but I do think coming from track and marathons, I am more of a runner. And so, the last couple of years, I've focused more on UTMB and CCC and high lonesome and races that are super fun and I want to do again, but maybe aren't right in my skill set. All that being said, I wouldn't say I was going to this race to get a golden ticket. Honestly, I've always just wanted to do Javelina, and it really came more down to, with training, I thought I could run 14:45 and I ran 14:45:01 or something. And going in, knowing how competitive it was, I was like, I don't actually think that's very possible. That won't even be in the top 5. So ultimately, I think that mindset is maybe what made it happen, because I wasn't getting distracted and I wasn't like stopping what I needed to do, and I wasn't running anybody else's race. And so I didn't know I was in golden ticket position until the last lap and hadn't even really thought about it. So I wouldn't say I made the decision to go do that. I think it was in my periphery. Like I knew that it was possible, but I also know that it's really competitive, and I knew I can run this time. And if it's faster than that, I don't know that I'm going to run faster than that. And so I'm just going to run that time, and that kind of is what it is. And ended up, being higher up than I thought it might be.
Yeah, it sounds like you really were focusing on your intrinsic motivation of I'm going to take care of myself all day. I'm going to actually do my cooling that I normally don't do. And I will say, notoriously, I mean, you haven't done great in the heat, and that was something that I, as a race commentator before the race, doing the pre-race show, I was like, dude, Addie's put some good, incredible miles leading up to this race. Like, she's had great training. You won those 250Ks. You're doing like an incredible training, but I'm concerned about the heat. And so that was sort of the one unknown, I guess. And once you figure that out, it was like, she's unstoppable. So what did you do to cool yourself out there?
I ran into Riley the day before and they were like, you can't skip any aid stations. And I'm going to give you my ice bandana so that you can refill them faster, and you have to refill them at every one. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a lot, but I listened and I did it. Going into the base camp, I would sponge down as I was coming in, and then I would sponge down again as I went out. And then I think maybe my partner Emily told me this, that I stopped and cooled at every single aid station, even on the last lap. And I wasn't hot, but I was just like, okay, it's working. Like, don't like stop doing it now just because you don't feel like you need it anymore. And you're right. Like, that's not a secret. I don't handle heat, and I've never heat trained, and I've never tried to cool appropriately. And so what was cool to me actually was to maybe be validated that it's not that I don't handle heat well. I just wasn't being smart. But I did heat train for this, and I did all the cooling stuff, and I didn't have any excuse to ever not stop and refill all my ice and sponge down, and I never felt hot. So it's cool to know that it's maybe not just a me thing. It was more just to like, well, nobody handles heat when you don't do anything about it.
Yeah, when you're not actually. And I mean, you're going to be taking that now with you into Western States. I'm so excited to see you throw down at States this year or next year. Really excited about that. Okay, but I do want to backtrack. So Anna, during the race, Anna Luden was close. We had Lauren Puret's like 5 minutes behind you. There was a lot of excitement happening. Like, we didn't know you for sure had it until, your final checkpoint, like coming into the final shoot. We were like, it's Addie, because really it could have gone multiple ways. I mean, I think it was really that Lauren Addie battle for the ticket that everybody was kind of on our like pins and needles, like, well, who's it going to be? Which is so exciting. I mean, the women's fields are so stacked, and it's really fun to have it be that close. It's really interesting to me that you didn't know that you were in golden ticket position until that final lap. So can you talk to me about when you found out that Lauren Puretz was right behind you? How did you react at that point in your final lap?
Yeah, I mean, she's tough. She is so tough. I caught her like a few times, and then she would kind of surge ahead again, and I'd have to work really hard. Like, it took work to pass her. And then, I came into the last base camp, and as we were leaving, my pacer Luke said, Lauren's a bit behind you. And I said, what's a bit? And he said, 2 minutes or less. And I was like, that's not a bit. It's like, she's right behind us.
She's like, you could look over your shoulder. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I said something like, well, I'm going as hard as I can. So if she passes us, she passes us. And he was like, okay, well, I wasn't going to tell you. He wasn't going to tell me either about the golden ticket. And he was like, but y'all are fighting for the golden ticket spot. So no, she's not passing you. And then we didn't know where she was. You don't have any info out there. And so I kept telling myself that she was right there, and she basically was. She was not less, I think, 4 minutes most of the last lap. So, I'm glad I kind of had that urgency the whole time. We never saw her again because it's hard once it gets dark and you're passing people and there's so many headlamps. So I just assumed she was right there the whole time. And like I said, she pretty much was.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills. It's like, I have nothing left. I'm going as fast as I can. Oh, but it might be the golden ticket. Okay, then I might be able to go faster. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even in the last aid station, he made me stop and take a gel. I'm like, we have 3 miles. And he's like, yeah, but if Lauren catches us, we have to kick. I'm like,
Smart.
okay. So I didn't think I had it until I could hear the bass count and I could hear the music and the sounds. Otherwise, I was like, I'm literally going as hard as I can.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the headlamps, because that's something we look for normally. It's like looking around. There's usually, we're in the middle of nowhere when we race these trail races, and you see a headlamp, and well, it could be, someone from the men's race, but you're looking for that headlamp. It's going to be like 1 or 2 headlamps, but at Javelina, there's hundreds. of people
Yeah.
you're passing.
It's not
And
good info.
you're not, there's no like the whole, remember Claire Gallagher and Brittany Peterson and how that infamous like turning off, Brittany turns off her headlamp
Yeah.
to try and
Yeah.
like get Claire. That was actually, I interviewed both of them last year. It was really fun about that battle.
Cool.
But there was that battle at Western States and you just would never get that at Javelina. So that's really fun to think about. So you finish, you get to the finish line. I saw you there. I was so excited. I mean, for me, as someone that's been in the sport for a long time, watching you cross that finish line in first meant a lot, I think, to a lot of veterans out there. And I mean, we're both 39. It feels like, we've put a lot into the sport, and to see you come from, being a national champion in the classic distance and like the shorter stuff, and then like make your way up into trail and then do really well in trail, and then feel like there has been this little bit of time that we haven't been able to see you on the top of the sport. This felt like such a big moment for fans. Can you tell us what it felt for you when you crossed that finish line? Was it for sort of like a little bit of a closure, like, I finally did it, I came to fruition, or what were the feelings?
Yeah, just like validating. I thought that, the Western States ship had sailed for me probably. So it was just like, the excitement of maybe it happening for the first time. Like, how it is when it felt as exciting as getting there for the first time, because you don't ever know that it's going to happen. And I had talked to my partner a lot before the race and said, my mindset, I'm in my like gratitude era where like, yeah, I'm turning 40 next year, and I don't know how many more times my body is willing to do that. And so it was cool to see that there's still some in there. And I think I was saying before the race that I was really trying to run that. And I was thinking about it a lot in the race, like really thinking about just like all the versions. I guess to back up, as a lot of people have probably experienced, when it's been a while since it's gone well and you've struggled a lot, it's hard to zoom out. Like you just feel like that's always been your experience. I'm like, this is just how it is. I blow up in races and everything goes wrong, and I don't have it anymore. And in reality, when I zoom out 25 years and think about like, the me that was, doing track workouts at 5 a.m. before school contributed to me getting there. And so I was kind of like wanting to honor that and like follow through with the commitment. And that was really cool. And then I was just thinking about like I have nieces, and my 9-year-old niece was watching the race, and she's been getting into sports, and I was like thinking about her and wanting to just, I don't know, I know this all sounds cheesy, but I think I was less thinking competitively and more just like, I don't know, just honor yourself and the people that are watching, and just, I don't do your best. And I always do my best. And unfortunately, my best the last couple of years has been pretty rugged and it's not been pretty. But it's cool to know that sometimes your best can feel really good, and that your body can feel strong, and that you can walk away like pretty unscathed and be like, wow, that's pretty incredible. And I know that was 25 years, in the making.
That's really well put. When I said closure, I meant like a closure on a chapter of not doing well. It felt like, and I personally feel that right now, because I also had a year that didn't go according to plan, and I didn't have any performance goals met, maybe one. And then to come out with a win at the 100K felt really good. It was like, finally, body, I told you to go and you went.
Yeah.
Like, finally. But it took a really long time. And then last year I didn't race at all because I was injured. So it's been a journey, and it is that continuous like reframing of, how do I continue to show up and trust that it's still there, that the fire's still burning. But it's hard to keep that fire ignited when you just keep getting these external, like, kind of blowing out the fire a bit, feels like your spirit isn't the same like it used to be. So feels really good when you cross the finish line. You're like, I gave it all I had. My body actually performed. My mind was a part of it. Huge congratulations. I'm so excited for you. I do want to talk about the mind, because you are an author. You literally wrote the book on the ultra running mindset. If you could talk to me a little bit about that journey of writing that book, and how maybe it's transformed or changed your thinking of the sport throughout the years, even from since you've written it.
definitely. I was kind of at the top of my game when I wrote it, and so a lot of the stuff I was interested in and curious about was maybe, and they're all related, as is obvious by this last race, but was just about how much we think and know and we need to train physically, but that we don't really put that much intention or thought, at least maybe I wasn't, in an organized way around your mindset and like what you were going to be thinking about, out there. And I think that's, you're like leaving a lot of hours up to chance with no plan. It's like going out with no pace in mind. So even for this race, I loved the laps because I think it lent itself to like planning like that. But I had, like mantras for each lap and like things I was going to be thinking about for each lap. And I planned that and I wrote it down. It was like in my race plan. Most recently, I guess two things. One, to speak to what you were just talking about with injuries and stuff. I think I also subconsciously, I have said a lot to people the last few years. It's almost like I felt like there was like a governor on my body that I couldn't mentally make myself push past because I'd had all these like epic like disasters that were, some of them scary, some of them put me in the hospital. And so part of, I think, why I wasn't putting races together is it was subconscious. It wasn't like totally at the forefront of my mind, but it was like I was scared to push that hard. It felt like unsafe. And so not like physically, but more emotionally than anything probably. And so I've really had to work through that and like get to a place where I wasn't afraid to do that. And then even like I think the piece I've done the most work around is like my self-worth and like identity tied into running. And I did get to the point where I was feeling like I needed a race to go well to feel validated and good about myself again. But just recently, I feel like I've let that go, which is why it's so interesting that, it goes well now that I kind of loosen up a little bit and don't think it's something that I need, but it's something that would be awesome. So it's definitely evolved. But again, yeah, I think the biggest piece I've always recognized, even in coaching and working with athletes, is like, you need to have a plan and you need to practice and you need to train, having control. It's even interesting, like this is kind of off topic, but not, but Will Murray is a friend of mine. And I don't know him that well, but I know him decently well. And like, we shared an Airbnb this weekend and it's just easy to kind of observe and see why someone like him is able to have a certain mindset, because that's always how he is just like calm and like not on a phone, doesn't have social, like is very clearly just very comfortable in his own mind. You're getting better at something mentally all day, every day. So, whatever you're doing, you're practicing it and habituating it, whether it's intentional or not. And so if it's not intentional, that's kind of scary. But you see these habits and patterns that do translate in a productive way. And it's like, oh, well, that's pretty cool that I could like practice that or change that or work on that or make that more my natural inclination. That's what I think is so cool about mental training too, is it's like, it takes work and effort, but it's also can be pretty immediate results, or at least, like it's just as accessible to anybody. I think there's like there's obviously certain physiological limitations. There's some people that no matter how hard they train or what they do, like you just might not have the physical makeup to be at a certain level. But I don't believe that anyone necessarily just inherently has more potential to be more in control of their brain than someone else does. They're just probably working at it more.
So for our listeners, some advice. If you are wanting to perform better, or you just feel like you're in a stagnant place and you're not getting the results you want, what would you recommend?
I mean, first, just self-awareness is like recognizing where kind of the hiccup is. For most people, I feel like, at least from what I've observed, especially with coaching, is like it's either getting stuck in attaching too much like evaluation to how you're feeling. One of my like mantras going into this race was, it's hard because it's hard. And related to me being scared when it starts to hurt, like, oh God, okay, it's hurting. And this is when I puke a lot in races. So as soon as I started getting nauseous, I'm like, oh, my brain first went to like, oh no, like this is what happened at High Lonesome. You threw up for 10.
You're going to spiral.
Okay, that doesn't really, exactly. So just to, to like not evaluate every single feeling that you have and be like open. I think that's one of the bigger ones. But what I see the most is like not being able to manage your attention, like what you're paying attention to. So it's getting hard and you like cannot stop thinking about that, or you're too fixated on what your splits are because they're not saying what you want them to, or what place you're getting fixated on things that aren't productive and not able to recognize that in the moment enough to like shift it to something that's actually conducive to performing better, or at least feeling better. I think it's really hard to do, but that's what I see the most.
What were some of your other mantras for this race?
Well, that was one of them for like later in the race or not even later. I feel like there's like that point in a 100-miler, where it like starts to hurt a little bit earlier than you want it to. And you're like, oh, I'm only 40 miles in. Why does this hurt so much already? So that was more my mantra for then. Do it for me was one of them, which I was kind of saying before, like, me 15 years ago, that's like, wait, you run for Nike and you're not like loving every second of that. And then the last one actually came from Sally McRae. I was chatting with her the day before, and she said something like, just go out there and write a good story. And I liked that because it made it feel like in my control still, like maybe the outcome wasn't, but you can kind of choose how this unfolds. So I was kind of telling myself that the last lap, like, this might play out in a really cool way and it might not, but either way, make it something memorable and something that you're proud of.
I think that's maybe the hardest thing about trying to run in the front of races, where you don't have any control how anybody else races, right? And you want to be with it. You want to be able to, attack when somebody's attacking. You want to be able to be a part of the competition in that way and stick with the group and that sort of thing. And you can only be as fit as you can be. You can only manage your logistics and your cooling as much as you can manage your own. Like, you can only do yourself. And that's the beauty of it. And when you really accept that, it's really freeing. It's like, I can only do as much as I can do. Like, I'm doing my ultimate best. And sure, maybe there's 1% more than I thought I had or something like that. But, you're always stronger than you think you are. And that, but you have no control of the other people's races. And I love that advice of write your own story and to put down an effort that you're proud of more than that outcome of a place or of a finish time or whatever it is. I think that's such a beautiful way of looking at our entire sport and really maybe life.
Yeah.
It's like that whole like comparisons the thief of joy is pretty much across all aspects of life, and racing is a part of that as well. And I think that's really beautiful. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I do want to ask a little bit about what you've been up to. You have spent a lot of time putting on this gorgeous retreat lodge that everybody that follows you on Instagram has been just drooling over and wants to go to. So if you could give a little bit of a plug or just tell us what you've been up to outside of sport.
Yeah, it's been kind of a dream for a long time, actually, probably 20 years that my mom and I have been talking about this. Back in the day, we used to do like training camps. It was when I was doing marathons and track stuff, and we would go train places for 6 weeks, go to altitude training, and it was always just like so fun. And you make a lot of cool like memories and relationships, and get great training in. And once I moved to Colorado, I was like, it'd be so cool to like build a place where people can come do that. And I'm lucky. My mom, she is kind of in that industry. She already built and owns and manages like a small boutique resort in the Caribbean where she does yoga retreats and diving and all that. So she was down to do this together, and we're waiting until the right time. And the first year I ran Leadville in 2018, my first 100. I was like, I think this is the spot. This place, like the access is incredible. So it's down in Twin Lakes. And basically, it's a lodge, 11-bedroom lodge right off Colorado Trail, where, people can come do whatever they want there, but my draw was the mountain biking and the trail running. There's definitely plenty of fishing and kayaking and rafting and all that, but it's an open place to rent. So anybody that's listening, or even you that wants to like bring a group, whether it's just like get some friends together and rent some rooms or come do some kind of retreat, it's there. And then we also plan and host retreats. We'll have a lot of stuff going on all summer, next summer for all the races. But it's a pretty awesome spot, and we're super excited to share it. So yeah, my spring and summer was primarily putting together furniture. I know everyone's tired of hearing it, but I'm like, I put together like 20 beds and 35 chairs. And I'm so tired of this kind of stuff. We're excited to have people there. And I'm very excited to be at this point. So we're open. We opened maybe like August, September. So we're open and excited to have people come out and see
And
the
it's called
area.
the SageStone Adventure Lodge.
SageStone Adventure Lodge, yeah. And it's
outside of Leadville.
I'm biased, but this valley is pretty incredible. So come out and see some awesome mountains.
I really want to go, and I really need redemption at Leadville. So
please come
at some point.
If you're doing Leadville, let me know. I'll reserve a room for you.
Man, when I saw you at Leadville this year, I was not doing well. You're like, how you doing? I'm like, great,
Yeah, that to me is the crux of the course, though.
Happy.
Yeah.
Oh man,
you like come out of the hard part, and then you go up that little douche grade climb, and you're just like, are you kidding me? That to me is like one of the cruxes of the course, right where I saw you.
Man, yeah, it was really fun to see you. I mean, you weren't racing, just for the record. It was like a fun year cheering, and I was so nice to see a familiar face. Thank you, Addie. That was fun seeing you out there. But okay, and I also want you to talk about OutRun because you are an advocate and you were the founder of this organization. So I love this advocacy. I love that you kind of live your life outward and say this is meant for all of us. All runners should be able to run if wanting to. And I would love to hear how you got into it, why you decided to start this organization, and your involvement with it.
Yeah, I mean, mainly it was just wanting to kind of blend two communities that I was part of. So we originally launched it just to kind of have a way to meet other people in the front when I was living in the Front Range for group runs, go to races and that kind of thing. We would love to expand outside of Colorado, but right now we've kind of found a pretty good community in one in Boulder and one in Denver. And actually at Javelina, our tent was right next to the OutRun tent. We had, I think, 6 people racing across the distances. Everybody did awesome. So it was so cool to see a lot of familiar faces coming in for each lap. And then I passed a lot of folks, on the laps and stopped and chatted with them for a second. So it was a really cool weekend. So yeah, it's really turned into group runs and meetups in Colorado, but also a lot of traveling to races together and crewing and supporting each other. So yeah, that's mainly it. It's just really cool. I'm part of the trail running community and I'm part of the queer community, and I'm not the only one. I know that. And so how can we
There's a lot
all come
of us
together and support each other?
Band together. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
We'll have more fun together for sure. But
exactly.
So if you do not live in Colorado, is there a way to get involved? Is there a way to travel with you to races? Is that something that other people can do?
Totally. So we, if anybody is interested in starting a group run in their area, just reach out to me. But otherwise we have a Discord. And so they coordinate a lot, people that are traveling to the same races, and it's all over, I think Canyons last year, a lot of people went to Javelina. I'm Tough, a lot of races that people go to. And if you need crew, they all crew each other and show up, and it's really awesome. So absolutely. Reach out to me and I can get you on the Discord and get you connected.
I love it so much. Best sport ever. You are also a coach. So
I am.
When did you start coaching, and are you accepting new clients?
Yeah, I've coached forever, actually. I've run the gamut. I stayed at Carolina and coached a few years college when I finished, and then decided that kind of dynamic wasn't really what I was looking for. And then coached high school for a really long time, which I loved, but the schedule was kind of rough. High school gets out at 2:30. I'm like, this is kind of hard, and it's
they have cross country meets every weekend.
Every weekend, and the track meets. Oh my gosh, they're 12 hours every Saturday.
Yeah, it's tough.
So the schedule was hard with my own training and traveling, but loved that age group. And then have been doing more ultra trail focused coaching for probably 6 or 7 years now. So I work for Boundless, and we're the official coaches of the Lifetime series. So everybody on the coaching roster, mountain bike and runner, have probably some pretty intense personal connection with this area. I live in BV, which is 30 minutes from the course. So yes, I'm accepting a few spots open, I believe. And we coach not just Leadville, we coach any race, but we do end up having a pretty good, I think we had 80 athletes race this last year at Leadville, which was awesome. It made the Twin Lakes aid station go by fast, because it's people were coming in the whole time, which is kind of fun, but super intense.
It's so fun. Oh my gosh. That Leadville community, I was really impressed with. It was very, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. And it was very yeah, it was meaningful to see so many locals running. It was very
It's kind
okay.
of wild how many
Yeah.
locals that just like casually have been doing it forever. Like a
Forever.
lot of
Yeah.
the people
Keep
that
coming
work in the
back year after
lodge that
year.
were helping
Yeah.
with construction are like, oh yeah, I just do it. Just do it because I live here. Like what? It's crazy.
Don't you wish that's how Western States was? I'm like, oh yeah, it's in my backyard. It's only 4 hours away.
Yes,
So it's basically my backyard. Like, can I just race
may
it?
as well.
Can I just jump in? Okay. Well, Addie, I am so excited for your year. I'm so excited that you're going back to Western States. Is there anything that you are looking forward to besides probably some downtime?
I'm definitely gonna take some downtime. Yeah. No, I'm just looking forward to going back. Yeah, like I said, I'm in my twilight, so
Yeah.
it'll be fun to maybe go back with a different mindset. I didn't think I'd ever get back in 2021 when I ran. It was felt like a missed opportunity because I felt like I was ready and I just was not smart. So it'll be fun just to go back and finish it again. I didn't finish, which is a bummer. So would like to just go back and yeah, just get to the track and have a fun day. I'm taking my full same crew from this last weekend, not changing anything. So that'll be fun to be able to do that with them again too.
Do exactly what you did. All the
Yeah,
cooling strategies,
exactly.
all the mantras, just keep it rolling. Addie
Repeat,
Bracy, I'm
rinse and repeat.
so happy. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much for joining us on the Trail Network podcast. You are an absolute gem, and really the sport is so much better to have with you in it. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you do next year and in the years after. It's never going
Thank
to end.
you.
We're going to keep going. The twilight just
It's
keeps
never gonna
on
end.
going.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
starts to
That's true.
dimmer once we get into our 70s. We'll be fine. Just going to keep
Okay,
on
fair.
going. Thank you again, Addie. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
No, I think that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we will chat soon. Thank you, Addie Bracy, for coming on to the show. There were so many golden nuggets in this conversation. Her mindset going to this race stood out to me the most. Her mantras of do it for me to make her younger self proud. And this is hard because it's hard to just keep running within yourself. Take care of yourself all day. And to write a good story. I love that Sally McRae told her that before the race. To put in an effort that she's proud of and to be in control of her own narrative. Once she freed herself of all the expectations and she just focused on her own race, she was able to put together the best race she's had in years. I loved this conversation. I hope you did too. Shout out to Osprey for sponsoring this episode of the pod. Show your support by checking out osprey.com. Let us know what you thought of the episode. We love to hear from you. Give us a follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, give us 5 stars wherever you listen to this podcast, and maybe most of all, share it with a friend if you thought it was helpful. See you next time.